With every Misfits Boxing card, there are always new fighters and new people being introduced to the Misfits universe. And I think everyone out there has their dream list of YouTube matchups they want to see and YouTubers that they want to see fight. And today I have my list of 5 people that I would like to see appear on Misfits Boxing having a boxing match. I've tried to keep it somewhat realistic, picks that I think there are genuine chances that maybe it could happen. Like, you know, as much as I would want to see people like Morgs' mum on Misfits Boxing, she can't really be on this list because that will probably never happen. Or maybe not, maybe it could, we never know nowadays. Comedy Shorts Gamer fought Mayweather. But anyway, let's get into this list. Coming in at number 5, we have a woman who has had 2 fights already in crossover boxing, is currently 1-1, and that is Andrea Botez. Andrea has competed in chess boxing and she competed at the Creator Clash in a great fight against Michelle Khoury, and based on her fight against Michelle, her and Michelle look to be 2 of the most technically sound women's boxers in crossover boxing. And both of Andrea's fights have been on short notice, so she hasn't really had a proper camp before. I think Andrea with a proper camp could easily make a name for herself in the world of Misfits Boxing and matched up against other women in the Misfits Boxing universe. And coming in at number 4, we have a man who is 2-0, having won a chess boxing match and a match at this year's Creator Clash. That is Myth. Myth is a guy who in his 2 fights has shown himself to be someone who can learn very quick and has improved very quick. We saw especially in his fight in Creator Clash against Honda, who was a difficult opponent and a star of Creator Clash 1, how easily he beat him. He knocked him out in round 1. And Myth is a guy who would just instantly fit into the Misfits universe. He'd be great for promo, great for trash talk, and there's some great matchups that Myth could have in the Misfits Boxing universe. Coming in at number 3, we have, folks, where's the lie? It's Bobby Fish coming in at number 3, who I would really like to see have another boxing match. Bobby Fish, of course, fought on the undercard of the Deji Mayweather fight, the Global Titans card, remember them? Where he picked up the win and looked fairly solid, but he's not been active in crossover boxing since, and I want to see him make a return. The main reason I put Bobby Fish here is because as a wrestling fan, I think more wrestlers need to be getting involved in crossover boxing. We saw John Morrison do it, we're seeing Bobby Fish do it, I want to see more. Wrestlers bring in name power, draw ability, easy skill in promo because they are the kings of trash talk. They're wrestlers, they know what they're doing, they do it all the time. But yes, more pro wrestlers in crossover boxing. Pro wrestlers would immediately fit into crossover boxing, and folks, where's the lie? Coming in at number 2 is a man we have not seen fight since his loss against pro boxer Chris Avila. That is Dr. Mike. I think people really sleep on Dr. Mike. I think in that iDubbbz fight, he probably could have easily ended it at any time and was definitely letting it run the clock a bit. And yeah, sure, his opponent was iDubbbz, but he looked very impressive in that fight against iDubbbz. And following that fight with iDubbbz, he would be signed by Jake Paul for MVP Promotions to fight against Chris Avila on one of Jake Paul's undercards, but unfortunately, he was of course defeated on unanimous decision against Chris Avila. And yeah, he might have lost, but going the whole distance with Chris Avila is an impressive feat and shows that he clearly has some skill. And yeah, I just think there's some good matchups to be made with him against other people in the world of Misfits Boxing. Him versus Temper, him versus Slim, him versus Kenny, all would be great matchups. But my number 1 pick is someone who is an experienced MMA fighter. They fought in the UFC, and now they find themselves fighting in BKFC and also wrestling in All Elite Wrestling. That is Paige VanZant. This is probably the most unrealistic one on my list, but if they could make this happen, that would be blockbuster and be huge for women's crossover boxing. I actually don't even know if Paige VanZant is still active within Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships, but obviously we are seeing Alan Belcher, who is the BKFC World Champion, fighting on Misfits 008, showing that there is clearly a bridge between BKFC and Misfits. I mean, we have Bryce Hall, who is fighting on BKFC. There's clearly a bridge between the 2 promotions and maybe a possibility for Paige VanZant. Like I said, I feel like this would be such a boost for women's crossover boxing, and I feel like this is something that she would potentially be up to do. She's a big social media star and OnlyFans model herself, and I think she'd fit right into the Misfits universe. But regardless, that's my list for 5 fighters I think we need to see on Misfits Boxing. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and let me know which fighters you want to see appear on Misfits Boxing in the comments below, and I'll see you for a future video.